Hey everyone, my name is Amina,
And I'm Eli.
and this is Targum Tea, a podcast which focuses on pop culture reviews and social media. In today's episode, we're joined by three special guests, Calvin, Ross, and Luke of the New Jersey-based band The Happy Fits, where we talk to them about the evolution of the band, their experiences in the New Brunswick basement scene, and discuss their new album, What Could Be Better. Okay, great. So, thanks again for coming on. Can you guys
Thanks
just
for
start?
having us.
Thank you. Can you guys just start by introducing yourselves and telling us a bit about how you guys got started?
Yeah, I'm Calvin.
I'm Ross.
And I'm Luke.
We are the Happy Fits.
Yeah. we are all alumni of North Hunterdon High School in Hunterdon County. It's was in Clinton, but we live in a small, or Annandale, I guess. But, we're based at my house is where we do all of our work, and everything is Pittstown. So that's where we say we're from.
I'm a grade older than them, but these guys met early in Latin class.
Yeah, Latin class freshman year. We went to two totally different middle schools, so we didn't really have any mutual friends or anything. But I think we became friends on Facebook, and then Ross started posting a bunch of covers
on his MySpace, and then
and then I think one day we got we were Facebooking each other, and then we were like, "Yo, have you seen Inside Llewyn Davis?" which is that Coen Brothers movie, and with like lots of really awesome folk music. We were both really into folk music and Dr. Dog at the time, and we just started talking about music. And then one day I went over to his house, and we tried covering an Andrew Bird song, and then it was okay. And we kind of went our own ways for like a year, and then Ross was holding a charity event at a local coffee shop, and one of his acts dropped out because he had like just a bunch of local acts.
One of my acts.
Yeah.
So established.
It was almost friends that were playing.
And he texted me with like a few days notice. He was like, "Hey, do you want to play?" And at the time I was taking a gap year to just like practice for conservatory auditions, and I was like, "Yeah, totally, I'd love to play." And then I like tried finishing some like songs that I had written, and I ended up playing Best Tears with like a ukulele, and Ross came up after and was like, "I've never heard that one. Did you write it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That's so cool. Like, I write stuff too. We should like get together and work on original stuff instead of covers." And he showed me a riff on his guitar, and actually two riffs. One became a song that we haven't released yet. It's called Muddy Shoes, and then the other one was Dirty Imbecile. And then after Dirty Imbecile and like playing it for his mom and his brother's girlfriend, they were like so excited about it, and it was like just an awesome feeling that people were hearing original music by us. So we basically, the summer before going to college, we're like, okay, we should record an EP for like our friends, so we can show them these songs that we've been writing. And when we were recording the EP, we realized we needed a drummer for Too Late and While You Fade Away. So that's how we got in touch with Luke, who is Ross's brother's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And
I called him up. I called Luke up. I got his number off of my brother, and I was like, "Hey, you want to record some drums on our track for $70?
Scam of the century." We were exploiting Luke's poor college habits. That's what
100%.
We only had $70.
Yeah, true.
Dude, I had less than $70, so that $70 was ideal. I was like 100%, and it worked out really well too because you guys recorded in Patterson, and I went to William Patterson at the time I was in college, and I didn't have a car, I don't think then, and I took Oliver's car, or did you guys pick me up?
I remember we drove you once when it was raining really hard.
Yeah, we picked you up one day.
Yeah,
it was two different days that he recorded drums.
We had a 2-hour rehearsal at Ross's for Too Late and While You Fade Away, and then I had to go in the studio, and it was like the most stressful time of my entire life, and I was like, wow, I hope those don't sound horrible. And then we ended up getting the mixes back. I was like, oh, this is like really, really, really cool.
Yeah. And then around like our first week into college, we landed Fresh Finds playlist, thanks to our current tour manager, Tyler, who happened upon us by accident.
Has done everything for gross.
looking for the Happy Hits playlist and accidentally typed in Happy Fits. And at the time, we had our very, very amateur album cover art that I made on MS Paint. And he was just like, this has to be really stupid. And then he listened to it and was like, oh, this actually sounds good.
This is really stupid, but I want to be involved with it.
So we got on Fresh Finds, and honestly, I think having such a stupid album cover kind of helped because people were like, what is this?
It was a double-edged sword because some venues would be like, we don't book joke bands. And we're like, we're not a joke band.
Can't you tell I spent a good 2 hours on MS Paint making that? I'm a professional. And so that happened. And then, we started getting like just industry people started emailing us. And like, I remember being in class and like getting emails like from some guy at Atlantic being like, just showed your stuff to like the drummer of Dr. Doug and he liked it. And then like, I remember running out of the classroom and calling Ross and being like, no way is this happening.
We made it.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know, like Electra Records reached out and was like, we want like you guys to play like a showcase for us. And that was really, really awesome. And just like slowly we both realized like, we had like a once in a lifetime opportunity and we should jump on it. And
we dropped out.
We dropped out.
Full-time band.
Luke called me one day and was like, hey, I know I'm not in the band, but like I'm on all of your songs. And I sang, so can I be in the band?
And I was like, can I please be in the band? Because I basically already dropped out of school and I'm not in the band yet.
Yeah. And then we played.
I quit my other band, like bawling, quitting my other band. Just like, I gotta go with these guys. And I wasn't even in yet. I was like, oh, this might be a bad
I think I flew home from Georgia one weekend to play a show at Penn State, our first show ever. And it was our first show playing with Luke. It was a total train wreck. It was feedback the entire time. But it was just a really fun experience. And I think we've had a holiday show later that year in December. And then
hang on. She said just tell us a quick bit about how you got started.
You're writing a whole
life story.
Sorry. Okay. I was going to say we played like a
whole interview.
A hometown holiday show. And then after that, we knew Luke was in the band.
The rest was history.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So you guys played at a lot of New Brunswick shows. Can you just tell us, like, what was that like? And, what was the experience like of doing that?
Man, it was definitely some of our best memories still as a band.
When me and Ross went to our first basement show, it was like a sit-down basement show, and we're like, wait, is this what basement shows have become now? Like, just a bunch of hipsters sitting in basements? And, like I said earlier, like, no one wanted to book us in their basement, so we kind of just had to be resourceful, and luckily, one of my best friends was going to Rutgers right on Sickard Street, and he let us play in his basement, and we just put up a Facebook ad and got a bunch of really cool bands like Surf Rock is Dead, and I think Mandala and Shoobies, were they that show too?
Yeah.
So
Mandala from Connecticut, Shoobies are from New Jersey, Asbury Park.
Yeah. So I just remember that first night in the laundromat, there were like 20 people that said they were going on the Facebook event. We were like, this is gonna be a train wreck, isn't it? And then it ended up just being packed, and the kids came. It was.
I don't know what it is about Rutgers, but like, we didn't think anybody was gonna show up because none of the bands that were playing had ever played a basement show in Rutgers. So we're like, oh well, we'll try our best bet. And for whatever reason, the crowd, like the basement scene in Rutgers, they always just show up. I don't know how they know about it.
It's kind of like when we go to Salt Lake City and the Mormons will just like show up and go nuts. It's like definitely the same vibe. It's like people are like living their best lives right now, and it's really cool to see like the community and everyone just really trying to have a good time. And like that's what it was every single time we were there. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But by the end of it, we played about 6 basement shows at Rutgers, all at the laundromat. We did 6 shows at the laundromat.
I think it was 5 at the laundromat, and we tried doing one.
Yeah. And then they took the owner's ID, the police, and was like, you can't play. And we're like, well.
Basically, the reason we stopped playing the laundromat was our last show before our first national tour. We played it in the laundromat, and some kid wandered around the house and found a paintball gun in the attic and thought it was a real gun. Or it was an airsoft gun, I think. And then they called the cops, and then the cops sent a SWAT team to the house the next day. So I got a call from my friend Mike, and he was just like, just so you know, like a SWAT team kind of knocked down our door and tied our hands behind our backs. And it was definitely horrible. So we stopped playing there, and then the next time we tried to play, we just brought way too many kids, and like the cops showed up, and
this was at a different venue, though, different basement.
The only question I have is, they say that it was in the attic, and it's like, how did the
why
person,
would a kid go to the
how
attic?
did the person get to the attic?
It makes me mad.
Also, the house is like, isn't the house one of those houses where you have to pull down the string to go up a ladder? So you go, this looks suspicious.
Yeah, this isn't my
house. Pull it down. And also, who wasn't like, I guess they didn't know the person wasn't part of the house, but if I was there, I'd be like, hey, what are you doing in my attic, man?
Yeah, it was.
But
there were a lot of people.
Definitely interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there was so much fun though. I mean, that community is awesome.
Yeah,
and we met a lot of really cool bands through it.
I'm so sorry for talking so much. I had coffee this morning. I just can't talk.
No, we love it. But I will ask, I remember you guys did a show, I think it was like last year or last semester in New Brunswick, and it was like one of those shows where you kind of like, it was like a secret show, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah.
Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, that was so much fun.
That was like our last comeback to the basement show scene. Not that we wouldn't do it again. It was just like we hadn't done it in a while. And our friend Shalom, she helped us organize like the laundromat shows. She is super involved in that scene. So she was like, hey, do you guys want to play at my house? But there's not a lot of room, so you have to keep it extremely low key and limited.
But then
the word got out.
And then everyone showed up, and she was just panicking the entire time.
That was fun.
We helped her clean everything up afterwards because it got a little out of hand. Because like she was very strict about it. Like,
was it the Shoebies and
the Shoebies and Mandala
and Mandala?
Wait, I don't even know.
So it was like
Mandala was there.
Diner Neon
from our first show. We brought them to that show. That was really fun. Unfortunately, like.
It's just become a fire hazard at this point, and it's hard to keep it a secret. So
it was a bit too packed, but it was a good last memory.
It was so much fun. I remember there was a point where I was just giving out free pizza in the back of our van to people. Most of that night is a blur.
I ate so much pizza.
We'll probably do another one in the future, but we'll keep it super secret. We'll only tell Shalom.
It might be under our alias of Mr. Whiskers and the Cephalopods. So if you see that, know it's actually us.
Awesome. Okay, so we definitely want to talk about the new album a little bit. What Could Be Better, which was released August 28th. Right now it's on Spotify and wherever you can get your music, it's up. So we want to talk about it a little bit. Talk to us about the making of it and kind of the writing behind it, and just like the evolution of that album.
Well, all right. Well, where do we start?
It started
when I was 6 years old.
It started with the song "Hold Me Down." That was the first one that Calvin wrote and demoed. And then that was what got us in the drive, getting ready to.
And then I think during the demo process, "Go Dumb" was like the first one that we felt like, okay, this song is like, it's there, and like everyone's gonna be happy with it because our manager also has produced this album and Concentrate, and so him and the rest of our team are pretty heavily involved in just like trying to find the best way to represent the music we're trying to portray. And so a lot of it is like going back and forth with us and then checking with them and be like, hey, what do you guys think of these ones, all this. And a lot of the process is you come in with a bunch of demos of different songs, and then we all kind of sit there and decide, okay, these are the songs that we think could work best on the album. And then a lot of it too is even when you're in the studio, a lot of these songs get drastically changed or inspired in different directions. Like Two of Many was a completely different song pretty much in the beginning, and there's a lot of these songs where they were really, really different, like Achy Bones and Sorry Cool Whatever. Those songs were like an extra 3 minutes long with like crazy interludes and like kind of this whole different approach. And so I think a lot of this album was, we had 6 weeks in the studio and we had to get it done and then drive through the night to start our tour. And so we had this like just clock ticking the whole time. We're like, we got to get these songs out. We got to do it. And it was pure chaos, but a blast at the same time. And, if we didn't have Calvin too, he edited a lot of the vocals and like really was able to, pull everything together. And
just massive amounts of auto-tune. That's how we did it.
Yes. Yeah. We actually are terrible singers. It's all auto-tune. Yeah. I guess we had like this whole period of growth between Awfully Appealing and Concentrate, and I think that's where a lot of the inspiration for the songs themselves came from. Like, I mean, Calvin wrote most of the songs, so I'll let him talk about it. But yeah, we were in this period of like transitioning between like, I guess, a certain phase of our band. It felt like we finally reached this like wall where we're like, we got over this wall where like, okay, now people are starting to know our names, and like it feels like our tours are becoming more successful, and it was just like a lot about experiencing life during that time, I guess.
Yeah, it's also not scary at all when your management is like, this is the most important album of your career.
Oh, yeah.
If you mess it up, you're basically done. So we're like, okay, awesome. Well, that's not going to make me stay up every night for the rest of my life. But,
yeah, I mean, a lot of the songs, definitely after dropping out of school, we just found ourselves with a lot of free time, and like, you know, not all of it was spent in like the best way possible. And definitely growing up, I was just like very, very prudent, not the right word, prudent student. I was a very, very, very good student, and I would always like be, you know, studying or practicing cello. And like for the last like 6 years of going to school, I had like music school on the weekends, so I'd only have like one day off. So I always like gauged like my, you know, self-acceptance through how productive I was being. And then once you start doing this kind of music, you can literally spend an entire day with like a guitar and then come up empty-handed. And like other days though, it's like, you know, you can smoke a bowl and write 10 songs, and it's like really, really great. But yeah, like a lot of these songs just came from like places of like not being very sure if dropping out of school is like the right decision. Especially, you know, my parents have not been like fully supportive of it. So like that's like a large part of my support system that just has not really been present throughout this whole process. So a lot of this album is just really asking the question, like, are we doing the right thing? And like, you know, even though we are doing what we love, which is like writing music,
is there anything that could be better?
Yeah. Is it enough that we can really make a living out of it, or are we just wasting our time? So
yeah, you know, the average question that all college kids go through. But
yeah, definitely like a song like Get a Job though, that was like, I worked one summer at a 24/7 diner in Jersey, and I absolutely hated it, but also it was so nice having money, but also I hated it so much. So that's where that song came out of. And then, yeah, moving, definitely about, you know, wanting to like get out of the house, and then no instructions to just like, it's all about just having absolutely no idea how to navigate
do
life.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the songs are like totally relatable, and for those reasons. But I also wanted to ask, how has it been performing virtually and like transitioning to like more of a digital space because of COVID? And do you guys miss in-person concerts?
1,000,000%.
yeah,
Definitely miss in-person
Miss them
concerts.
a lot. And,
Yeah.
you know, when COVID started, we finished the album and then drove through the night, played 3 shows, and then we're going to start like a 2-month-long tour.
With like this huge band. It would have been like our big break, basically.
And, yeah, it would have been like, we were really excited. And, you know, we got to Phoenix, and then they were like, their tour manager was like, guys, we're still going to go through with everything, even though we were just in Brooklyn. They're like, oh, 2,000 cases now. And they're like, oh, this might be getting pretty serious.
Yeah, South by got canceled.
Like everything was getting canceled. And then the tour manager was like, we're still going through with the guys. Like, we're not going to say anything yet. And then literally 2 hours later, they called us and they go, yep, you're only playing Arizona. And then another 2 hours went by and they're like, you're only playing Phoenix. And we're like, dang. And so we played Phoenix, and then we ended up, you know, trying to get home as fast as we possibly could. And it definitely is different, you know, because a lot of what we focused on was like being a live band, and we didn't really focus too much on social media. And so now to have it completely flipped where it's pretty much all you can focus on is definitely an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I think the live streams have honestly been pretty cool though. I mean, it's definitely nowhere near the same, because it's like, you know, you play a song, you finish, and then you see the crowd's reaction and all their emotions and everything. But like when you play it behind a screen, you just like see like a little clap emoji or like woo, like, you know, and all caps lock, and it's like, it's definitely way different. But honestly, like the fans that have joined us every week online are like the same people that are in like these, like they've made Discord servers for us, they've made Reddits for us. They're like really hardcore fans that like really want to be involved as much as possible. And because we have so much time now, we've really been able to interact with them a lot more. And they're just like, their words mean so much to us, because it's like, you know, they're telling every bit of truth that they have to every word. I mean, like, you know, it's like this, like we start to see like their usernames and we recognize them. Now there's this one girl that we've met through the live streams that does fan art for us almost every week, and she actually just sent us a package for the first time of all like the artwork she's done for us.
Yeah, this girl Alexis is like amazing.
Yeah,
we're meeting like a lot of these really, really cool people.
Yeah, we've been able to make really good connections with our fans through it, and we've, like, at first we were kind of like, you know, social media sucks. Like, we just want to get out there and play and meet people. But like now we're actually really enjoying it, because it's like at this point we're just making videos for fun and just, you know, to use our time, and people have been really reacting well to it, and it's really cool. Yeah,
I'd say the only complaint I have, really quick,
go ahead,
is that I miss playing my drum kit. Like I haven't played my like full kit on a show at all. And like the electronic drums kit's cool, but like I miss that. I miss being annoyingly loud. So
and sweaty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely like a different mindset going in, and energy, because a lot of live shows is like we get nervous and then you get up there and you play the show and then you have your adrenaline running because you see all these people and you're like, oh, I gotta like do the best I possibly can, because these people came out and, you know, paid to see us. And with live streaming, it's like, all right, gonna set up the iPhone camera, and it's like, all right, we're going live, and then we're like, hey guys, oh cool, how was your day? And it's like, it's very different experience. Yeah. It's really, really cool. We love it, but yeah, definitely a different way to do it.
Interesting. So kind of speaking to that, with everything going on right now, do you find it's a little bit harder to be creative and write music and, you know, kind of get ideas down on the page and, you know, with your instruments and stuff? Do you find it's harder, like during a pandemic with everything going on?
I think like definitely with like the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, like we've been trying to become more socially aware, and I've kind of taken a step back from like my usual inspiration for my lyrics of like, you know, finding my own problems and like explaining them. And now I kind of realize like there are bigger things to write about. So that's what I've kind of tried, you know, changing up my thinking of writing for, you know, less personal, and trying to see how, you know, I could kind of make it relate to my perspective on where everything's at in the world. So that's mainly what I've been, I'd say COVID's affected my writing.
Yeah, I think it's affected, you know, just how it's like affected everyone's everyday lives. It's like working is very different for people in every industry. And so, you know, a big inspiration for us also would be going on the road and going out and doing all these things, and, you know, the craziness of that. And now that everything's like just like still water, in the sense of just like we're not allowed to leave the house, and, you know, there's all this really like unbelievable injustice that's been going on in the world, and it's finally coming to a head that people are realizing like, you know, there needs to be change. It's like we also started to realize like, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on that's way bigger than us and has been for a while. And so, you know, it's definitely trying to like figure out
like how we could like record music in the future that is, you know, applicable to the current state of society rather than just, you know, writing about ourselves.
Yeah.
Which I think there's also a healthy balance.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's trying to figure that out.
For me, I've had so much more free time now, and just like more time to explore, you know, different avenues of music that I normally wouldn't take the time to explore. And it's honestly like, there's a lot more. I know we've talked to musicians and other friends of ours that are having trouble because it's like, there's not much motivation right now. But I guess personally, for me and like the demoing that I do individually aside, you know, we do a lot of the writing individually and then bring them together and then work on them as a group. I've been able to just experiment a lot more and learn a lot more and take the time to just like understand my instrument even more, I guess. And it's been kind of fun for me. So lyrically, there's not a lot there. But musically, there's a lot of stuff to experiment with right now. Just because, like, you know, I don't know what to talk about right now, but that's like when I don't have words, I move to the music side and let the music do its thing. So yeah, and that's what, yeah. I guess right now though we've been focused mostly on just promoting this album, so we haven't like shared a lot of ideas together yet. So we're all individually experiencing different things with writing right now, I guess.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your songwriting process, because you guys do have like a very original sound. Calvin, you play the cello, and it kind of gives your band like a very unique sound to it. And I kind of listen to you guys, and like I definitely hear like a lot of different influences. I hear like, and you can tell me if this is wrong, but I hear like the Black Keys in there, a little bit of the Killers. Do you mind just talking about what other bands or artists you draw inspiration from?
Yeah, Bombay Bicycle Club, Two Door Cinema Club,
Tokyo Police Club.
Yeah, all the clubs. Let's see what else. Alabama Shakes honestly was like a huge one for me.
Definitely.
Just that's one of the more recent, you know, passions I've had. Growing up though was like definitely Killers.
We all came. I used to be like a big metalhead, and then I started singing too, and I found stuff like Arctic Monkeys and the Strokes, and I was like, oh, this stuff's like really, really what I want to do.
Like I'd say what drew me into like any of the bands that I listen to is just like bands that have like awesome choruses that are just total earworms. So like that's why I just love the Killers, because they, for their first like 4 albums, it was just like every chorus was just so beautiful and would like give me chills. So that's definitely what I try to emulate most in the music. I think we tried emulating it a bit too much with Concentrate, and that's why the genre is like all over the place on that album. And definitely I feel like this album we kind of honed in as to what indie rock sound we wanted to be, because we realized we can't be everything. So
I think also on the fact of Alabama Shakes is that drummer used to be a like big punk rock drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And so me like having kind of a similar background, it was really cool to see what this guy could do with a drum kit. And I think, you know, was part of Calvin inspiring me and Ross, and, you know, getting in this different mindset of playing a different style that I wasn't used to. And I end up now like loving every moment of it. And so definitely Alabama Shakes was a big one for drumming wise, for sure.
That's really cool. I'm obsessed with the Killers, so just hearing you say that, I'm not too pleased with their new album, but no worries. Anyway.
I mean, okay, we have to.
It sounds like a Christian rock.
Said that.
Yeah. We were packaging orders, and I was like, "Are we at church? Like, what's happening?"
Okay, I draw the line for Killers after day and age. That's why I started falling off. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so glad you guys said that. Wow.
But don't tell them that if you ever interview them.
Yes, please.
Say that we love them so much.
No.
And their most recent Christian rock album was incredible.
Yes.
So much of your music, as you guys were talking about a bit earlier, focuses on growing up, identity, and acceptance. So talk a bit about how these themes have relevance in your own life and how you use them in your music.
Definitely, I think No Instructions really encapsulates like the whole of what could be better, other than what could be better, because like I was just written at a time in, you know, our lives where like we had that album out, we had just toured with This Wild Life, and like we really had done like everything right from our perspective, and like we still weren't making a living off of it. So that's where like all of that like self-doubt kind of came into play, because like I was, the only thing I could think about was like about how I had no idea what I was doing, and like, you know, we were going to keep doing what we were doing hoping that it would work,
but we just have no idea.
Yeah, really.
We were literally like just throwing stuff at the wall hoping it would stick.
Yeah.
And so it's like having that fear of like, oh my God, I like put my heart and my soul into this, and is this it? Like, am I just going to be stressed, not knowing what to do the rest of my life? Like,
Yeah.
And so that definitely was like this big weight of like, whoa. And the pressure of, people really seem to love the first album, and, making sure that people love this album. And so a lot of that, I think, kind of just encapsulated itself. And Calvin and Ross write such bops that it ended up just, like, we just got inspired because none of us were, I think all of us were pretty nervous and scared, and it just ended up like all coming together. And even though we still don't know what we're doing, it's like, there's that faith of like, I think we can figure it out, whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah. I guess especially like just me personally in my life, there's a point, our parents are super supportive. I mean, my dad was the one that he gave us a loan to buy our touring van, and we're still paying that back. And he gave us like a front of money as well to help us get started. And like, he was confident, always believed in us. Luke's parents are the exact same way. They're always trying to support us. His uncle gave us a loan of money as well to help us out at the start.
Yeah, none of this would really be possible without.
Yeah, and I guess at the time that this album was being written, it became a point where like my parents were like, "Hey, like, you're doing great, but like you're not making any money, so like what are you doing?" And I think now we're in a much better place, and they're again like, "Yeah, go you guys," they see that things are starting to come together. But it's like there's a lot of people in our lives, and everyone's lives that you have to think about as well. And I guess
that's like
a way of expressing those emotions to everyone around you as well as yourself.
That's definitely like inspiration for like Hold Me Down, because like we're always on the road, and it kind of just feels sometimes that like we have to put all of our personal relationships on the back burner while we go pursue this pipe dream.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say, being in a band is pretty selfish, just because the band is like, if you want to be a successful band, I think you need to make it like your number one priority all the time. So if something comes up spur of the moment and you have plans, like, me and Calvin have both been in relationships our entire time in this band. And, sometimes it's really tough. Like,
so many broken promises.
Oh yeah. Just like filled of like, all right, I'm going to see you this weekend. And then it's just like, we get call from management or whoever, and it's like, you guys have to do this. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I have to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I can't not do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then what is all this time that we've been investing work? Like,
for me, it's like, I sometimes have been in Georgia, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to come back like a week early."
My heart sinks like, every time. I'm like,
he always feels for me. I'll just like not see my girlfriend for like 2 or 3 months, and then like I'll get there, and they'll be like, "I have to cut this short. I'm so sorry," and it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
So it's tough. There's definitely like that's another thing, of constant trying to figure out a balance between the band and loved ones and friends and family. And yeah.
Can I use this as a shout out time?
Yeah.
So speaking of, even though we are in a much better place financially now, we still work individual jobs. I actually just came back from my job. I worked the Kona Ice truck. Boom, boom, boom.
Kona Ice.
I didn't even have time to change. Sorry.
I love Kona Ice. Kona Ice.
Yeah. I worked the local one in Hunterdon County with my boss, and it's a great job, and it's like a great side gig to have especially now because we're not touring or anything. But yeah, every summer we still work our summer jobs to make extra money, because the band is not there yet and fully supporting us.
I teach cello, and then Luke's on a food truck.
I work on a barbecue truck.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Barbecue truck.
What barbecue truck? What's that?
Oink and Moo.
Okay.
Barbecue. It's
kind of a messed up.
Their chicken tacos are probably the greatest tacos I've ever had in my life, and I'm dreaming about them, and I get to eat them Friday, and I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure Ross too is like, oh dude, I'm gonna eat so much Kona Ice when I get on that truck.
Yeah, I cannot eat Kona Ice anymore. I actually had some today because I didn't eat any breakfast, and I was like, I'm really hungry, and I took a bite of it, and I was like, I can't eat this. The first year that I worked, I
You
ate
mean
so
syrup
much
and ice is not nutritional and helps your body?
Apparently not. Yeah, sorry, I just want to shout out.
Yeah, what a
No,
world
I'm good.
for free.
Gotta give a shout out.
For a minute, I had to bring it back.
Okay, so you guys were talking about how you've kind of evolved a little bit since your first album, your first EP, and kind of like the different sounds you're experimenting with and everything. And a lot has changed, obviously. What can we expect next from the band in the future?
So, because of quarantine and it not ending anytime soon, and the world, still trying to figure everything out right now, we're just gonna keep writing and try and make online content and keep doing that, and we're trying to shoot for making album 3, and I think this album found our sound. And so with that, even though we're still focusing on promoting this album, we're going to be keeping in contact with everyone online and doing the same thing. But if we're here we've been told pretty much is that we'll be lucky if we get to play at the end of 21, like a live show. So we have to figure out, and we have plans now in the works of what we're going to be doing. So,
yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, in the near future, we're just going to put out a lot more videos and content,
yes,
and still keep up our live streams. Hopefully we get to tour this album in the fall of next year. That's like what is projected right now in the music industry, when people are going to start going back on tour. If not, though, like the worst case scenario, which would suck, is that we never get to tour off this album and we just have to put out another album. But I don't know. We don't want to do that right now. We want to focus all of our attention on what could be better.
Yeah.
For now, we're gonna keep writing.
We're also very lucky that our manager does have a studio, so we have that opportunity of being able to go there and have that inspiration.
Yeah.
And with COVID and all this, we might have a lot more time than we've had on last projects to do. But we're definitely just super excited about what could be better, and gonna keep making content for that. And yeah, I'll probably still be working Kona Ice if anyone wants some ice.
Yeah.
If anyone wants some barbecue.
I
We also have good vegetarian quesadillas.
Got veggie food too.
I started going back to online school for accounting, and then now that the album's out, I'm like, man, I just want to make music again.
Okay, so I have one final question, and it's kind of silly, but I have to ask. Like, I just have to. What? Do you guys know your star signs?
I am
Capricorn.
January 1st, 98. Is that a Capricorn?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm a Cancer.
Oh my god.
I'm a Virgo.
Oh, is your birthday coming up or something? Or
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Oh my god! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah, I'm turning into an old 24-year-old man, so that's pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
My back is already hurting, so it's a good start. But yeah.
Yeah, you guys showed your age a bit when you were talking about MySpace. I was like, what's that?
I also made a joke to it. I just remember my cousins doing it, and I was like, yeah, back then. And they're like, back then we met. I was like, yeah.
I never had a MySpace.
Nah, I always remember my cousins having it. I wasn't allowed to have one because I was too young. My parents were like, you can't be on this.
I got Facebook when I turned 12. I remember my parents were like, now you can have a Facebook. You're old enough.
Both me and Ross started YouTubes in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Trying to be YouTube stars.
Yeah, my username was Fancy Igloo Pig.
I was
my
Asian
original
Cello
one.
Boy.
He still has his videos online if you want to plug that.
Yeah.
He's got some quality content.
There's some flashbacks of I did a Harlem Shake spinoff. That was 2011.
Harlem Grape.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
And the Harlem Plate.
That was
great.
Probably my most viewed videos.
Yeah. So silly.
Yeah. You would be surprised how many fans have asked us that after shows.
This girl,
this
lady came up and she goes, so what time were you born? And like, where was it?
And she was like, do you know what the shape of the moon was when you were born?
Oh, yeah.
What?
I was like,
let
let
me
me
go
go ask
know.
my mom.
Because you have primary star sign and like there's
Rising.
secondary and tertiary
Right.
star signs.
Yeah. She was like trying to ask us all this stuff, and I was like, I only know that I'm a Cancer.
I asked my mom, I'm like, what time was I born? And she's like, Luke, why are you asking me that? I don't know. I'm like, you have to know, Mom. Well, guys, thank you so much for having us.
No,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And that's all for today on Targum T. Please make sure to check out the Happy Fit's new album, What Could Be Better, streaming everywhere now. And make sure to follow the Daily Targum on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for more content.